Hello everybody and welcome to another Arkham Horror List video. Today we are continuing our previous list series of our top favorite X cards, or cards that do X in Arkham Horror, the card game. We have done cards that deal damage, cards that gain clues, and now we are on cards that gain resources. And we've done it again! This list is pretty wild. I'm excited to dive in. Let's just go right for it. Bryn, what is your number 10?
I have Easy Mark, and as you can see, so does Travis. So I don't want to say too much about this one and leave him nothing. But this card is just some sweet efficiency. Like, it's cool. It's basically like if you took Emergency Cash and then made it better with the Crystallizer of Dreams.
Can I ask a question? Can you foresee any better feeling thing in the world than having two easy marks in your hand and then drawing the third off your second easy mark?
Yes. It is when you have a double in play.
Okay.
And you play Easy Mark with no other Easy Mark in your hand, draw not Easy Mark, play it again for free with your double, draw Easy Mark, and then draw Easy Mark off that one.
All right, I can see why that's better.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. That might be better.
Travis, why do you like Easy Mark?
I like Easy Mark because it doesn't have any kind of sheet gimmick to it. I mean, like, it kind of does, but it's still, like, efficient just playing one copy. And then if you have multiple copies, then because you drew a bunch of cards for something like that, it's just a lot of action efficiency.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. My number 10 is Deny Existence level 5. It technically can gain you resources. It does a hell of a lot, too. And you rarely, if ever, are going to play this for the resource side of it. But when I was going through ArkhamDB, I was like, I love this card, and it does technically gain resources. So I put it at number 10, because I think there are better cards that are less of kind of like spitting in the face of this list. Speaking of, let's continue spitting in the face of this list, shall we? With number 9, Bryn, what do you have?
I got Fence. Now, you're probably thinking, this card doesn't gain you resources, and you're actually 100% right. It does not do that. It only technically does that. Mm-hmm. By either making the cards you're playing fast or cost one less. And if they're fast, you can take the action that you saved to gain a resource, and if they cost one less, you got one more resource than you had before.
Yeah, we did include resource reduction as part of like a cost reduction as part of gaining resources, because it essentially is.
Yeah. Now, personally, I hate playing with this card because there are not quite enough illicit cards yet, but I want to like it so badly. I love the idea of it. The actual execution is not so much fun. Mm-hmm. But like, we'll get there. We might actually be real close. I haven't tried playing with this card in a while, since like pretty close to after it came out. So maybe it's time for me to give it another shot.
I think when we do our rerun of Innsmouth, then that'll be perfect for you, because that's no rules, just whatever you want.
Yeah, man, just play with cards that you wanted.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss it so much, man.
I'm so tired of drafting Garbo decks or being like, here's your Shimim deck that you roll the dice to figure out which one you're playing. None of your decks can get clues or fight enemies. Good.
Yep.
Oh, good.
My number 9 is Astounding Revelation. I love this card. I love the research archetype. Anytime the Shock Rabbi shows up, I feel like him. I'm like, oh! I don't have much more to say. I just think the card's sick, and I love playing it, and I'll put it in every one of my Daisy decks until the end of time. Travis.
I actually love the flexibility of this card. There's a lot. It fits into a lot more decks than you think it would when you're just like, I have to be able to search my deck consistently. No, you just be searching your deck sometimes. Mm-hmm. And not only does it just give you 2 resources back, which quite often pays for your No Stone Unturned or like most of your old Book of Lore or most of your Dr. Ellie or half your Wind Green, whatever you use to search your deck for. Sometimes it's like an extra secret on the Necronomicon or on
Mr. Rook.
Noctic manuscripts or Mr. Rook.
Yeah, he just pays for his own search.
And Mr. Rook, like, using Mr. Rook, and you're just like, yeah, I'll find this. My weakness that doesn't do anything and a card I want. You're just like, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah. Nah, man.
That's something special.
It's great. I love it. All right, number 8. Bryn, what do you got?
I've got Spirit Speaker. This is Akachionile's unique asset. So for a fast effect, you can discard, or you can discard a spell to add all of its charges to your resource pool, which is like mostly why it's here. But this card's just really cool. There's a lot of flexibility to be had there, and it turns a bunch of weird spells into like maybe I want to play with that. You know, like it's just strong most of the time, but you can use it with some dumb things too.
Yeah, definitely. My number 8 is you handle this one. Once again, technically gains a resource. But honestly, like, the cards... I can't say too much about it on the non-resource side. Obviously, card's a staple in green decks. I've been playing a lot more green decks lately, so I've been, like... me and this card are, like, becoming best friends. And that one juicy resource on top is, like, the ultimate, like, kind of... you give this card, you use this card to give the strong player who can handle that card you just drew. But then, like, they fail the test, and you're like, and I'll gain 1 resource. Thank you.
Yeah. When you get to play that card as a resource option, to be able to like do something next turn, your teammates will never be so upset with you. Possibly again.
So you're just playing it as a gain 1 resource and just giving the card away just because you don't want it.
Yeah.
I get it. Travis, what's your number 7?
This is Take Heart. This one's like only 50% for me, and it's like 50% for my family because they love this card. They love getting something out of failing. Whenever they draw a test that they can't beat, they're just like, and someone gives them this, they're so happy. They ask for this card when we do deck building. Yeah, it is. They like recognize what card it is, which is amazing to me. But it is cool. Just like a nice consolation prize. You know, when you're playing, you're invested. You got like 2-3 brain. The game's like make a brain 5 check. You're like, well, I guess I'll draw 2 cards and get 2 resources.
I would disagree with you on this being a resource card because never have I ever gotten resources out of playing this card.
Lie. You have like 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
You can't say never have I ever. Yeah. Like, I'll give you like it has not happened very often. You might not remember the times that it's happened, but it has happened.
Yeah. All right. Number 7, Bryn, take it away.
Got Charles Ross Esquire. So he lets us spend our resources to pay for item assets that are played by other investigators at our location. And as a fast effect, you can exhaust him to reduce the cost of the next item asset played by an investigator at your location by 1. One of the cool things about this guy is that there's no window on his lightning bolt effect. It doesn't say until this happens. It just stays until somebody plays an item asset at your location and it costs less. So you can tick him every turn until eventually you're like, well, I'll play this Noctic manuscripts for 5 less, I guess, because I've had Charles Ross in play for 5 turns. He hasn't done a goddamn thing yet. But you can and it's not just for you, right? Like your goon needs to find a gun. That's cool. Maybe their gun costs less. Maybe you help them pay for their gun. Mm-hmm. Maybe the resources that this guy has generated aren't for you. But he can still make a lot.
I'm so excited for this archetype to be more of a thing. Because it's like all I'm going to play for you guys. Be like, Travis, you need something? Charlie Kane's here to give you a hand.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't like print too much. It's like a little bit tough to print as a cycle because you don't want to be the kind of person like you might enjoy it, Justin, but most people don't enjoy being like I'm here just to serve other people.
And also, they don't want to print a lot of cards that strictly not a lot of cards that don't work for solo play, right? even though
Yeah.
a lot of people do play multiplayer. Like, it's probably only going to get like 2-3 more cards at the most, right, throughout the entire lifespan. But
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw like some cards or like a focus from Charlie Kane where he can play like patrons or like services or something like that.
yeah.
But I don't think we'll be getting like
No, like, blessed
real
package
support.
this big. I agree.
Yeah. I would say this guy does work in solo though as well. Like just as a resource engine if you're playing an item heavy deck.
Oh yeah, I think that'll probably be the
he's
elegant
definitely
of
not
this.
bad.
I think that'll be the
Yeah.
elegant of the design too, where it becomes about how can this help other people, but also the person playing it, right?
Yeah, because you don't want to put cards in the game that are only good for other players, because then either the archetype is strong enough that you have to play one, otherwise what are you doing? And somebody's got to do that, or it's too weak and no one wants to play it. So
Well, if it ever gets to the point where someone has to do it, sign me up. My number 7 is Take Heart. I think this card is sick, and also when you're know you're going to be failing a treachery test, because as Travis said, you have 2 or 3 brain and it's asking you to test 5, just turning it into cards and resources is pretty sick. Travis, what's your number 7?
This is emergency cash. It was printed in the core set. You get 4 copies of them. This is all reliable.
Yep.
They've done actually a kind of an incredible job of like not just power creeping this, and it's been a good card. It's been in my deck since I started playing this game, and sometimes like quite often it still makes it into my deck.
Oh yeah.
It is super boring, but like it's good. I like it.
Heck yeah. All right, Bryn, number 6, starting with you.
I've got the alchemical transmutation. This is another card that's on my list that I hate and that I don't think should work, but like it kind of just does.
It is surprisingly functional.
Yeah. Like I don't like that you have to exhaust it to use it, but I understand why you do. There is too much possibility to just use this and be like, well, I had no resources at the beginning of the turn and now I have 9. Go.
Yep.
Yeah. This card sometimes it's just real cool.
Yeah.
I don't like it that it's cool, but
I also think it's like, we talked about glow ups. I think it is such a good improvement, obviously, from the level 0 to the level 2.
yes, sir.
I think a lot of our disdain for this is because like the level 1 was printed in the core set, or was it Dunwich? It was printed really early on in the game's life cycle.
Yeah.
And we all kind of played with it, and we all just got burned by it, and we're like, this card's garbage. And they printed one that's like, it reads almost exactly the same, because pretty much the only things that change it on are like the numbers, right? Like the brain test number, you get 1 extra charge, I think, and the resource cost to play initially. And like those aren't really appreciable or obvious differences, but like when you play with it, you're just like, this actually kind of works. And I think a lot of our Bryn's disdain for this card, and I can't speak for Justin, but my unwillingness to use it is kind of just residual disappointment.
I see the art and I think art bad. I think this bad. I can't like disconnect.
See the art, and you like, you puke in your mouth a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're like, ugh.
Yeah, no, do not want, no like. My number 6 is Crack the Case. Oh, sorry. Okay. My number 6 is Crack the Case. This has kind of become like the new staple for Seekers. While like Burning the Midnight Oil is also pretty sick, I just think Crack the Case has some much bigger impact for bursts of resources, because you're already going to be doing.
But it came out like 2 years ago, Justin.
Pardon?
Came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I know, but like we only have recently started playing it, like consistently. All of us.
Okay, you're speaking for our group in particular.
Yeah, our
okay,
group.
no, that's
our
fair.
group. Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of those
That's a
things
fair
where I think at
comment.
the time we just, like, we had Dr. Milan Christopher, and we were like, what else do we need, right? But now I think it's
Still,
just,
what else do I need?
it's finding more power in other places. And, like, it's awesome. And you're going to be getting high clues off high shroud locations because that's kind of your job, right? And you're just going to get, like, 4 to 6 resources from this pretty easily, and that's awesome. Travis, what's your number 6?
The aforementioned Dr. Milan. It's Fatty. He's here.
He's great.
This card, single-handed, like, we discounted him initially when we started playing the game, which was understandable because we were awful at it. But having played the game more, this guy completely avoided any other choices I made for economy options in yellow decks for a very long time. I just didn't have to think about it. And even today, like, I put Dr. Milan in my deck, I'm like, yeah, that's probably good enough. I can, throw in a couple cracked cases and, like maybe burn the Midnight Oil emergency cash if I'm running a real asset heavy deck. But most of the time, I'm just like, yeah, Dr. Milan cracked case, that's good.
Yeah, that'll last me literally forever.
Yeah, a resource every turn. Like, don't mind if I do.
Yeah, I love Dr. Milan too. He didn't make my list just because, like, he's just so there, right? But mad respect.
Yeah, like, I'm also a little bit tired of him.
Yeah, you got to respect the dude though. Like, he brings it.
He does.
Let's go to number 5. Bryn, what's your number 5? I forgot. Oh yeah, this guy.
I've got the Decorated Skull, and I've only got one thing to say about this card, and that is drink from the skull.
Is that a recent joke on our channel, or is that one that's?
I think this is that one dates back to, like, the Forgotten Age came out.
I'm hoping Tringle lasts. That was a good one today.
Angle is a good one. Yeah.
It was a good one.
You know, Bryn, I said this when we were I was getting Bryn's cards, but Decorated Skull was on my short list, but then I realized, like, it's always one of those things that every time with Decorated Skull, I want it to do better than it is, and then I end up looking at it each time and I'm like, yeah, I can cut Decorated Skull. I don't need this. I don't need to spend 3 experience for the upgraded one, even though it is a lot better. It just ends up getting cut for other things, but I agree. Drink from the Skull. It sounds sick.
Drink from the skull. Yeah. Yeah. I got nothing else to say about it.
Yeah. My number 5 is Stand Together. This one also is just, like, fits that kind of niche of what I like, where help your friends out, but also help yourself. I think the card's awesome. And now in Guardians, for me, it kind of has just, like, replaced emergency cash for when we play, because I like helping my friends out and I like helping myself out. And I mean, it's one of those things that gets Travis in a good mood. When on your first turn, you're like, hey, Travis, why don't you and I each gain 2 resources?
I like it.
Travis, what's your number 5?
This is Blood Right. This card technically gains your resources and also draws you cards and deals damage. But yeah, technically gains your resources. I like it because it does all the aforementioned things. It's just a really good card. The only thing I dislike about it is that it is tied to a singleton copy of Cult Lexicon, which is, like, kind of annoying because I don't like that style of balancing.
Yeah.
But increasing consistency is not my idea of fun balancing, but whatever. This card's great. I've played it a lot. Every time I play it, I'm like, yeah. Every time I play it, actually, I'm kind of like, how does this card... Like, it doesn't even provoke attacks of opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, it's so flexible. You can even commit it for, like, one of 3 different symbols.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's super push. It's just a good card. I'm always happy to see it.
I agree. I had fun playing with it today when we were recording. It's strong.
It is.
I even used it today to gain a resource.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it does gain you resources. All right. Number 4, Bryn, take it away.
Got the 45 Thompson. So this one, every time that you spend an ammo from the 45 Thompson, you get to move it to your resource pool as a resource. So it's basically a 1-costed gun.
I mean, technically, you're right.
Like, kinda.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, you have to meet that up front that upfront investment, or put it into play with sleight of hand.
Ooh, yeah.
kind of
How
like,
does sleight of hand work again? Isn't it one-handed weapons?
No, it's level 3 or less right now.
Oh, all right. Go to the flow chart. We are here.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, where are we on the sleight of hand functionality chart?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this gun is just really good.
Yeah.
I should play it more than I do. I should be playing it instead of the Springfield in a run I am not eager to return to.
A certain Leo Anderson deck.
Yep.
There you go with that one.
Yep. It's got 5 bullets. This card is also super good with anything that you can use to put extra bullets on, because all the extra bullets also come off as money.
The flavor
So, like,
of it, of using the bullets that you got from this to pay for the swift reload or extra ammunition to put bullets back in
Yeah.
is like super on point. I love it. My number 4 is David Renfield, the man who loves to spin. He's just, I love the feeling of him. He's actually kind of scary, which is like, I kind of like, because I'm like, David, don't. And he's like, oh, David, do.
David, yes.
Yeah, it's like one of those, like, I'm Bella and he's Edward, and I'm like, I don't mind if you bring the end of the world, David. Let's do this. He gives you +1 brain, which when you also have a Holy Rosary out is now +2 brain, which is pretty sick when you're a mystic. And he's also really easy to kill, which is also good. Because if you have someone who's like going to press the button that ends the world, you probably want to make them easy to kill. And like you can get a lot of resources on him. Like you could in most scenarios you can usually end up getting 6 resources off of him, which is a lot of resources. And then he just soaks some meat for you. Well, that's a inappropriate way to say that after I've talked about flirting with him, but still. He then dies and goes away, and then he was never here to begin with. Travis, what's your number 4?
This is together. I like it when just plays turn 1. I get 2 resources before I start my turn. That always feels very good. I also include it in like pretty much every Guardian deck since it's come out. But unlike Justin, I include it in addition to emergency cash because I like to play asset heavy Guardian decks for the most part. It's just a really good card.
Heck yeah.
It's boring again, but it always feels good.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, number 3, we're getting there. Bryn, take us away.
Joey the Rad Vigil. He's like the fence card that we saw before, but a specific one. We can buy our items off him. They're fast. They're there. They cost a little more. He'll also buy whatever garbage we don't want anymore. You know, we got an empty flask. We're like, how much will you give me for it? And he's like, more than it cost when it was full. He's like really not that great of a businessman.
He might be a little bit stupid.
Yeah.
It's always looking out for number 1. I need that flask. Give me that flask.
Yeah. You're like, will you buy this bulletproof vest? And he's like, I don't know. It's got a lot of holes in it. And you're like, I know. It only says it subs bullets, not 12-inch fangs. But he'll buy that too.
What was the recent deck where you played this in?
Oh, I was playing a big gun Tony Morgan deck.
He did so much work.
Yeah.
It shocked me. I was like, whoa, Joey's actually like his upgraded one's really sick.
Kind of good. Yeah. You get if you're playing a combat focused character and you get caught out without a weapon, it's cool. Joey will sell you a gun.
Mm-hmm.
It just costs you a little more. No paperwork though.
Yeah.
And then when it's empty, he'll just buy it back.
And he has really good soak too. His stats are nice.
Yeah. 2 for 3/2 is pretty big.
Yeah. My number 3 is Watch This. And you're probably thinking, hey, Justin, why isn't this your number 1? It's like, well, because the card's not actually that good. That's why. I like it.
I'm glad you admit it.
I like it more for what it represents in this friend group over it as an actual card. Because Sometimes you fail, and then you're like, oh, I just lost 3 resources. Oh my god. But when you say, Travis, watch this, you'll never fail. So I have that special power that makes the card good. But otherwise, I think this card's not good, and you probably shouldn't play it unless you know someone named Travis.
I don't think it's that bad. Like, green doesn't have that many. It's maybe a little bit Pepsi bargain, but there aren't that many economy options at level 0 for green.
Mm-hmm. And I do agree. And there's like certain like with Winifred, it's an easy include if you wanted to do it, because like you're going to be evading and you're at 6, and that's pretty easy to succeed by 1 or more, right? And it's also worth it in a lot of big money decks because like it helps get money, and then you can like high roller to make it even better, to go really gambling. I think there's places for it, but I've played it. When I say like I play it more than I should play it. I put it in any green deck when I'm playing with multiplayer and Travis. So there's that. Travis, what's your number 3?
Uncaged Soul is another boring, old, reliable economy card. This goes into every purple deck I make.
Yeah, ditto.
Like, not only does it's like emergency cash, makes the spell cost 3, pays for 3 of the cost of the spell, but also you get to play the card as part of the resource gaining action, and if you don't have any good cards to play, it commits for 2 brains. That's insane.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually stop talking here. Let's go to number 2s. Bryn.
I got the Robe of Endless Night. Now, I know I haven't played her in a very long time, but Safina Rousseau is one of my favorite investigators in this game. A lot of the good events in the game are spells, and this makes them cost 1 less. Also, they don't provoke attacks of opportunity, but I think that part is much less relevant than just, most of the cards you play cost 1 less for the rest of the game. Plus 2 meat soak and largely useless slot.
Yeah.
Why not?
And it doesn't hurt that the art's so good.
It's so sick.
It is a really good art. Hey, my number 2 is Uncaged the Soul. We're back, baby! Like Travis was saying, this goes in all of my Mystic decks. And I've been playing a lot of Mystic decks lately. And this card, is always... It's good at every point in the game. It's good in your opening hand because it allows you to play your spell or ritual for less. It's great in the late game because it's a guts, right? It's always active. Unlike something like Emergency Cash, which obviously you still include in for money if you need it in your Mystic decks. But you draw an Emergency Cash late in the game and you're like, this card just sits here in my hand. It doesn't do anything, right? But this one, it's a guts later on, which is super powerful. And there's a reason why in a previous video where we discussed how they can't make a better version of this card, in terms of a level 0 efficient resource production for Mystic, because this card is just perfect as printed for its power level. Travis, what's your number 2?
This is leadership. The level 0 version of this card is kind of trash, but the level 2 is super good. It only costs you 2. I've been spending 4 experience on this, a lot more than I'd like to admit. But you can commit to someone else's test, and it gives them 3 brain or 2 of anything. And if the test is successful, you and the other guy it's stand together stapled to guts plus. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's great. I think it's
also as practice. You can get off practice, makes perfect to make lots of money.
Yeah.
The biggest thing this card actually has going for it, though, is it is just additional actionless economy in a class that already struggles for economy. It helps a lot with some of those expensive blue decks. So,
and it feels so nice when someone plays this on you as well, because you're probably going to now pass your Rotting Remains test, and then you and that person gets money. It's just win.
someone's like, "Oh, this brain test sucks." You're like, "No problem. Have 3 symbols." And they're like, "Holy crap!" And then they pass, and you're just like, "And you get 2 resources." And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, they're like, holy crap, this just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
All right. Number ones, let's go. Everyone on YouTube, take a few seconds to see if you can guess what everyone's number one is. Drum roll. Let's go.
I've got Act of Desperation. So this one, you discard an asset, an item asset that takes up at least 1 hand slot because it has to be heavy. You fight, you get +X and deal +1 damage for the attack. The X is the printed cost of the asset that you discarded. If you succeed the test, you get to gain resources equal. You get to gain X resources. So as much as the thing costs that you threw away. I think this card's just really cool. It does all kinds of things, from killing guys with newspapers and flashlights to crap, I missed that last attack and I need more bullets, but I don't have them. I'm going to hit you with my gun. But also get the resources to play a new one.
It's a neat card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Quite
It's a
flexible.
neat card. I was not expecting it to be your number one, but I'm happy it is.
It's just a lot of fun to play with.
Oh, yeah. I have memories of, I believe it was Travis taking advantage of this in one of his decks, and I was like, oh, it seems like he's having a great time here.
Mm-hmm.
It was sick. My number one is Faustian Bargain, and I'm just going to say this right now. Talk to me in a year, and I'm going to hate this card, and I'll just tell you why. Because it's boring, and to me, a bit too, like, it's very strong. And it's going to be one of those things where going forward, if I'm looking for economy and I can get into green, like if I'm like a Dunwich Investigator, or I have green in my colors at all, or for some reason I have an Investigator who can play packed cards, this is going to be there like 100% of the time. I'm going to be like, put this in. I have to. It's 5 resources for 2 curse tokens that my teammates are going to draw, right? Like right now I'm in that point where I'm enjoying Faustian Bargain, and I can look at it and be like, this is good. Faustian Bargain, that's my economy. This is all I need. Like, this is not all I need, but this is like a huge thing that's like super reliable, right? But in the future, I'm going to get absolutely sick of this card because it's just so good. The 2 curses isn't really a downside even. Because like I said, your other teammates draw it. And yeah, you could distribute the resources as you want to kind of pay them for drawing your curse tokens, but you don't do that. You're green. So right now I really like Faustian Bargain, and I'm enjoying playing it. I love the art. I love the feeling of the card. But talk to me on June 2nd, 2022 when and I'll just absolutely hate it. I promise you that. Travis, what's your number one?
Just crack the case. It is yellow economy. Yellow needs resources. This gives them to you for just playing the game. Mm-hmm. And if you don't need them, you can give them to your teammates, and then they will be indebted to you and will be forced to fight the monsters, but you don't have to. They will be morally obligated because you gave like 1 or 2 resources or whatever from this card. It's like just one of the best level 0 yellow cards, and it gets you the money to play your stuff, and you don't have to take an action off to do it. You just kind of play the game, and then eventually you get them.
Heck yeah.
Love it.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Well, everybody, those were our top 10 favorite cards that gain resources. I was honestly not expecting the video to be that long, but we nailed it. We're going to keep this trend going. Next week, it'll be our top X favorite cards that draw cards. Whoa, that's a weird thing to say. And then we also have, like, we're going to do other things. But if there's any specific things in this area you want to see, let us know in the comments, because they're honestly, I really enjoy making these just to see the diversity that our lists come up. I think it's like been our most diverse list series in a while, which has been super awesome and fun to record. And hopefully fun for you to watch. What are your favorite cards that gain resources? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.